All right, guys. So, again, this is for the more challenging version of doing overdubs. Um, I want to say before I get started, what I do in GarageBand is not used in my final project at all. This is simply just for me to listen while I'm playing over myself. Um, the actual recording that I use is off to the side on my phone. My phone's off to the side where it's pointed at me, and that's the recording that I use for the actual project. This is simply just for my listening purposes while I record. Um, so, to get started, you have um, the main interface here of GarageBand, which I'm sure most of you have seen before, if not all. Um, and I'm going to use a quartet as my example. So we're going to rename this part. No, not bass trombone. We're going to do trombone 4. Um, yes, so now this is important as well. You always want to make sure over here your metronome is always on. Um, and I think the count in too is important. So I turn both of these on. That's my recommendation. Now what that does is it always keeps that click going. You always have that constant beat. So obviously we haven't recorded anything yet. So when you record trombone 4, you have that metronome playing over. So as long as you stay steady with the metronome, you have a lined up trombone 4 part, which is already perfect. That's all you need. Um, so just for the sake of time, I'm not going to play over any of these. I'm just going to start recording. Yeah. So as you can see, it records with the metronome. And you want to do this with, I'm going to stop it here. Um, and as you can hear, the metronome was clicking through the entire recording, right? Um, now my recommendation is to use headphones or earbuds or whatever, because you will hear better. I recommend turning your volume probably all the way up when you have the metronome in. Um, if it becomes too loud, obviously you can turn it down, but I want it as loud as it can go. Um, that's my recommendation for using headphones. But yeah, I'm trying to think of another recommendation. My other thing is to not start until you maybe get to bar 3, so that way every recording you have your own count in. Um, and I'll explain what I mean when I do the trombone 3. Um, so I guess I can show you guys again here. I'm going to go back, we're going to record again, and I'm going to explain what I mean. So you're going to have the count off, but I'm going to use these 2 bars as my prep, so that way the remaining 3 parts all have that same prep time, and the downbeat ends up being bar 3. I'll explain what I mean here. So this is what I would do. 1, 2, start there. I think that makes things easier, in my opinion, um, just because you want everything to line up perfectly, and I think giving 2 bars of the prep will line up that perfectly. Um, so same thing again. All right, so when you add a part, I'll go back. You add a part up here where the plus is, you're gonna add a new track. Um, yeah, you're gonna make sure it's on the microphone. Um, rename this one trombone 3. And let's see, go back to the beginning. Now, here is where the 2 bars of prep, I think, really come into play. Um, because you do the same for trombone 3, trombone 2, and trombone 1, obviously, to line up that together. Um, you also want to make sure that this is in two different, tracks. You don't want to record over because that would be bad. You want to make sure you're on your own here. So don't make sure that's not highlighted. It has to be highlighted on trombone 3 if you're recording for trombone 3. Um, so same thing here. You're going to hit record. And again, you're going to make sure that you're listening now to the metronome and the trombone 4 part. So you're going to record. 1, 2, start there. Start there again. So as you can see, yeah, it got a little wonky because you could hear my voice from trombone 4, but ideally that's what you want to have happen. You want to be able to hear your recording of trombone 4 while you're playing trombone 3. So yeah, and then I'm not going to go any more in depth other than that. You get the idea. Same thing for trombone 2. Make sure you're highlighted there. Start recording. Remember, I recommend 2 bars of prep. Metronome's always on. Count in I always put on. The count in actually in this case adds a 3rd bar. It gives the count off and then the 2 bars. But yeah, my recommendation for while you're recording, do your best to listen to the other parts while you're recording. I know that's something as an ensemble member that we do, like naturally, just listening to the ensemble around you. But same goes here, even though it's a virtual ensemble, it's yourself that you're listening to. Just make sure you're listening intonation-wise. But yeah, so then once I'm done in GarageBand, let's say I have trombone 1 already recorded, everything's done. All of this actually then goes away. I don't end up using GarageBand. I can actually close out and get rid of it if I really want to, because like I said, this is only for recording purposes. My actual project footage is from my phone, and I use those recordings to then later match up together. I use Premiere Pro to edit my videos, which is that's down here. I get it free with a college subscription, but I know it's a lot of money to get. You can do iMovie. iMovie's free for Mac. You can do your videos there, but I think they only have a split screen feature. You can only do duets on iMovie. Video wise, I'm talking. You can do split screen videos there, but you cannot do like a quad video thing like what I did in the Maple Leaf Rag. Yeah. Also, don't get discouraged if you don't know how to video edit. I did put a mini iMovie tutorial in there in the document, so if you want to check that out, you can. But you could, if you really want to, make your project in GarageBand. That is, by all means, something to do, and you can totally do it if you want. The only thing, if you're going to do that, if you're going to make GarageBand recordings your project and use it more than just for listening purposes, you're just going to have to play around with some of the EQ stuff in here. I wish I knew more about all of this stuff, but I don't. You just have to play around with the best settings that make your instrument sound good. Also, these change a lot. I recommend going into voice here and changing those for each track that you make. But again, this is only for if you are doing your project, your complete project in GarageBand with no video, just audio. But yeah, that's my kind of tutorial thing for how to record in GarageBand. Sorry for it being a little bit long, but I definitely wanted to explain thoroughly and get my point across. If you have listened to this video, I think you clearly are serious about doing this, and you definitely have an interest, and you care enough if you have listened to this point and want to do it. So I recommend, if you are reach out to me. I don't know. Ask me questions if I haven't made any of my points clear in this. Just ask me. I put my contact information in that document. Just ask me if you have any questions. Um, yeah, that's about it. Also, I want to hear your stuff too. I want to hear some of your projects. And I am open for collaboration if anybody wants to record something together. If you want to do any duets, trios, whatever, I am down for anything. Just send me recordings and tell me to record over them, blah, blah, blah. And I'm down for that. So I think I'm good here. And that's all I have for you guys. So thanks for listening and hope to be in touch.